Hey guys, Cheri from The Watering Mouth here. I have Vincent, my Vanna White lookalike. She's very good at demonstrating concepts. Today we're going to be talking about the ANDI Scale, basically a scoring system for all foods. Like all the foods are basically scored on this system. This system was created by Dr. Joel Fuhrman, which is the doctor that I'm always talking about, in his book, Eat to Live. ANDI scoring system has been adopted by Whole Foods. So when you go to Whole Foods, all of their foods are rated using the ANDI scoring system. You can see a lot of information about it at Whole Foods. They use this really to show a lot of information around their store about how healthy certain foods are, that sort of thing. So why is the ANDI scoring system very important? So what does it mean? It stands for Aggregate Nutrient Density Index. And Vanna is really, showing us some things right now that I don't really think is appropriate, Vanna. You're fired. Goodbye. Okay. So aggregate nutrient density index. What does that mean? So it means take a food, any food, you score it based on 34 different points. So let me read you a couple of the points here that are used in this scoring system. The amount of fiber that's in a food, calcium, iron, magnesium, phosphorus, potassium, zinc, copper, etc. Phytosterols, glucose enolase, angiogenesis inhibitors, organosulfides, aromatase inhibitors, resistant starch, resveratrol, and the ORAC scale, which is a rating of the antioxidant capacity of a food, along with a bunch of other antioxidants and vitamins and minerals. What they basically do is they take that food, they score it based on those different 34 parameters. An equal calorie serving of food is scored and evaluated against the other foods. So the way that they rate it then is they base it on a score of 1,000. So if a food has 1,000, that means it's the most nutrient dense food. And if it has a score of 0 or 1, that means there's barely any nutrients in it per calorie. So that means if you're talking about 100 calorie serving of steak, you're going to be talking about like this much steak, right? If you're talking about 100 calorie serving of broccoli, you're going to be talking about this much broccoli. So that's kind of how you can sort of think of that. It means how many antioxidants and fiber and all that stuff does the broccoli have for 100 calories versus this little piece of steak over here that's also going to give you 100 calories. The reason that he scores things based on calories, like the serving sizes based on calories, is because that's how you can kind of give food equality and be like, okay, here's the amount of energy I'm going to get from this food. And if you're getting the same amount of energy from each one, what other good stuff do you get out of that food? So that's how it scores it. So let me just read a little bit here from his website. I'm going to leave a link for this article down below. Prevailing food myths largely contribute to our overweight population and poor health for many. Lifestyle-related diseases are the most common causes of death, but according to a 2011 poll by Consumer Reports Health, 90% of Americans believe that they eat a healthy diet. Okay, so most Americans do not understand that whole plant foods are best for our health. They're led to believe that processed foods labeled low fat or low carb, artificially sweetened beverages, pasta, grilled chicken, and olive oil make up a healthy diet. It goes on to say that the nutrient density in your body's tissues is proportional to the nutrient density of your diet. Micronutrients fuel proper functioning of your immune system. They enable the detoxification and cellular repair mechanisms. And these things protect us from chronic diseases. So Dr. Fuhrman coined the term nutritarian to define a style which provides a high ratio of micronutrients per calorie and a high level of micronutrient variety. So the more nutrients you get, the lower amount of calories you get, the more health you get, right? So you're going to be healthier if you have more micronutrients and less calories. So like a steak, for instance, versus some broccoli. The broccoli is packaged with all these amazing micronutrients, fiber, tons and tons of fantastic things, and there's nothing negative about it, and it's low calories. The steak may have a couple of redeeming qualities, but it's also packaged with many negative things. So tons of fat, cholesterol, no fiber whatsoever. There is no fiber in animal products at all. Look at what these foods are packaged with, and these things that are in the steak are disease-causing versus the broccoli, which has none of those things. So plant foods versus animal foods, that's kind of the difference there, and that's why they're rated in this way. So one thing to note is that it might be a little bit confusing because if you ate only foods that were high on the ANDI scale, you wouldn't get enough calories. You would not be able to eat that much food because it's, as I said, it would be a massive amount of food. You wouldn't get enough calories and you wouldn't get enough fat. So it's a little bit misleading to just say, oh, I'm just going to eat the things from the top of the ANDI scale, because that's not a healthy way to eat either. You do need to mix in some lower ANDI scale foods with higher amounts of fat. So make sure you vary the types of foods that you get. So don't eat only kale, for instance. From the top of the scale, you want to eat lots of different types of greens and lots of different kinds of fruits and vegetables and be varying those things, but do be thinking about getting the high nutrient foods as much as possible. Here's a quick look at the ANDI scale that's on this article on Dr. Fuhrman's site. I'll leave a link for this down in the description so you can check out and familiarize yourself with this. And if you see some foods that maybe aren't where you're expecting them to be, that's okay. It's just about getting a variety in those higher numbers and making sure that you get some of each of the very important foods on the nutritarian diet, which are the G bombs. So we'll talk about those more later, but greens, beans, onions, mushroom, berries, nuts, and seeds. So that's it for today. If you like this video, you learned something from it, it was satisfactory, please give me a thumbs up, comment on the video, and subscribe to my YouTube channel, please. These are all the ways that you show me that you appreciate what I'm doing. Let me know what you think about the ANDI scale down below. Have you ever heard of this before? Do you think about these kinds of things when you think about foods? And also, if you have any ideas for topics for videos for me to do, let me know down below. If there's any questions you have or anything you want to know about, I will do it in a future video. So thank you so much for watching. See you guys tomorrow. Bye! No, you're not getting a raise. That was a terrible performance. Terrible. Angiogenesis inhibitors